Okay, imagine this. You are standing right on the edge of a whole new life. Behind you, a long history of slavery, and ahead of you, a future that's just full of promise. So, how do you build a nation that doesn't forget where it came from? That is the challenge, right at the heart of Deuteronomy chapter 6. It's basically a blueprint for creating a national identity, one that's built on these two powerful pillars: memory and command.
And it all kicks off with this single declaration. You have to remember, in a world that was just packed with competing gods and different loyalties, this isn't just a theological statement. No, this is a radical call to attention. This one line establishes a fundamental truth, and it demands a kind of singular focus that's going to shape the destiny of an entire people.
So, from that one belief, that God is one, comes a command that's just as singular. The text immediately pivots from what you believe to how you should respond. If God is one, then your devotion has to be total. This isn't asking for you to just kind of passively agree. It's a demand for an active, all-consuming commitment.
And here it is, that command in its full scope. And I mean, just look at the language here. Heart, that's our inner world, our thoughts and emotions. Soul, that's our very life force, our being. And strength, well, that's all our physical energy and our resources. It's a call for total integration, you know? This love isn't meant to be just one part of your life. It's supposed to be the engine that drives every single thought, feeling, and action. So why? Why this demand for such an intense focus? Well, the text grounds it in a really specific historical moment. This isn't all happening in a vacuum. These commands are being given to a people who are literally standing on the brink of a long-awaited promise. The stakes for their future, they couldn't possibly be higher. The crucial thing to get here is this powerful contrast between their past and their future. They're going from bondage to blessing, from the brutal hardship of slavery to the incredible hope of abundance. This huge shift in their circumstances is the essential backdrop for a really urgent warning that the text is about to deliver. And the text doesn't just stop there. It goes on to describe this future in really vivid detail. It paints this picture of overwhelming, totally unearned prosperity. I mean, they're about to inherit a life that they didn't have to build from the ground up. And this is what sets up the central tension of the entire chapter. What happens when you get everything you ever wanted? So, to fight against the potential dangers of all that prosperity, the text provides a set of incredibly practical instructions. It shifts from the what's and the why to the how. How do you actually make these huge ideas a part of your daily, ordinary life? This framework for remembering is just so comprehensive. It moves perfectly from the internal, your heart, to the generational, your family, and then right out into the public and private spaces of everyday life. It is a 360-degree strategy to make sure these commands are never out of sight and never out of mind. So yeah, the point isn't just to memorize things by rote. The real goal is immersion. By talking about, wearing, and writing these words, the whole community is designed to become a living, breathing reminder. These commands are meant to be as unavoidable and as natural as the sun coming up and going down. But all of this instruction is building towards something, a central conflict, a huge paradox at the heart of the chapter. And it's this: the very blessing of abundance contains the seed of the greatest danger of all, which is forgetting where it came from. And the text just zeroes in on this one specific moment. It's not when they're struggling or in need. No, it's when they're comfortable. The moment of satisfaction, of being full and content, that is identified as the moment of maximum spiritual danger. And there it is, the warning, delivered with absolute clarity. The command is so simple: do not forget. And what shouldn't they forget? Specifically, the story of their liberation. The memory of being slaves is positioned as the essential anchor that has to hold them steady when they're floating in a sea of prosperity. To avoid this fate, the text lays out a set of proactive commands, like guardrails for a prosperous society. Fear God, serve only Him, don't chase after other idols, don't test His patience, and actively do what is right. Every single one of these acts as a direct antidote to that spiritual amnesia that can so easily come with comfort. So how do you solve this problem for the long haul? Well, the text provides its own brilliant succession plan. It actually anticipates the questions that the next generation is going to ask, and it embeds the answer right into the instructions. This is such a profound moment. The text expects skepticism, or at least curiosity.
It seems to know that rules without a story backing them up eventually just feel meaningless. So that question, hey, why do we do all this? It's not seen as rebellion. It's seen as an essential opportunity. And this is the answer you're supposed to give. Notice, it doesn't begin with some philosophical argument or a lecture. It begins with a story. We were slaves. The laws aren't arbitrary, they are deeply rooted in a shared foundational event of rescue and redemption. This timeline really breaks that story down. You see, it connects the past suffering to a miraculous event, which then leads to a future goal, and all of it comes together in the present reason for obedience. The laws are the structure that protects the story, and by extension, the people. So, in the end, obedience isn't about following rules just for the sake of following rules. In this blueprint, it's the very mechanism for survival and for flourishing. You can think of the laws as a kind of trellis, something that the nation's story and its very life can continue to grow on.
And so this ancient blueprint for a nation leaves us with a timeless question, one that really echoes for any family, any community, any culture. It forces us to ask ourselves, what are the foundational stories that we absolutely must tell ourselves to remember who we are? And maybe more importantly, what are the daily practices we need to make sure we never, ever forget?